So, episode of Quantum Leap, Groundhog Day style. Let's talk about it. Channel everyone, and welcome to my review for episode 11 of the new Quantum Leap series. I know we had a mid-season break, then it came back for a couple of episodes, gone off for a couple of episodes, but it feels like this show's been on for quite a while, and yet we're only 11 episodes in. But there we go. So this episode here is entitled Leap, Die, Repeat, which is a play on the title for Tom Cruise's movie, Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow. Yes, and now before I start, I will say that I struggle with the whole Groundhog Day style storytelling. I find them to be very hit and miss. I find them a struggle to get through because of the repetitive nature of the storytelling. So I wasn't particularly looking forward to this episode when it was advertised at the end of the previous episode. So I've gone in a bit sort of reluctant in that sense. Some Groundhog style stuff does work for me, others don't. More so than most, it doesn't. So does this Quantum Leap episode offer anything different? So this episode we find Ben leaping into 1960s, where there's this nuclear reactor that's being essentially put online, being tested. But we come to find out that some sabotage is at play, and an explosion occurs, killing him and everyone else there, all of the other 5 individuals at play. And this leads to scenes in the present day where they think that they've lost him, that he's dead. Addison gets all upset, only for him to then come back to life on their screens, essentially. So the leap is actually repeating itself, and each time he's leaping into a different person in this scenario. You've got a janitor, you've got an army colonel, you've got Robert Picardo, you've got his assistant, and you've got a news reporter girl, and he has to figure out what's going on and all this sort of stuff. In the modern day, in the present day story, they have to bring Janice into the to assist with what's going on. They need her help because feasibly she could help, because she's written something on this when she was younger, on the whole time loop thing, and thus we have a story like that. As the story progresses, we come to find out that it's not infinite loops, that the loop will close at the point that he's passed through every individual. So there is a sort of time limit at play, how many times this can happen. So this episode, does it work or not? I felt there was some laziness within the writing for this episode, specifically in the point that the minute it happens, they realise that he's in a time loop. You know, they know that it's like there's no investigating done. It's just, okay, a minute, he's in a time loop. I thought that was pretty damn lazy. And I felt that towards the end of the episode, there was some sort of nice sort of potential sprinkling of foreshadowing, you know, where there was things said, just little lines dropped about you know, when a technology is used for bad instead of good, and if someone bad had got hold of certain technologies, and this goes into what's going on with Quantum Leap. But because the writers or the showrunners of this don't feel that the audience are clever enough to pick up on this stuff, they have to then go and do a scene where they're explaining that entire line that's said. And I thought that was great for foreshadowing, but lazy in that we've actually got to explain what's been said to the audience. I'll be honest, as far as this episode went, I enjoyed it. It done far better than what I went in envisioning, and that might have been helpful for me in that sense. I do think that, again, the stuff set in present day with Ernie Hudson, who was fantastic in this episode, gave a great performance. I thought he really did. Is stronger to me than the actual leaps themselves. because it's the intrigue of what's going on. But they always like to give you a little sprinkling of something else, like they do at the end of this episode. You know, Janice, I'm going to give you a name and all this sort of a thing, and then close, just to keep you coming back for the next episode. If it's working for it, then great. I just, you know, they can't keep doing that all the time. They've got to actually start giving you some stuff, rather than, you know, it looking like they're giving you something only for it to lead to a bigger sort of mystery. But there we go. I thought some of the musical score in the episode, I was listening to the background music. I thought that was very good. I was sort of imagining listening to it without the episode on, if it was just a score playing on a player or something, you know, and it worked for it. It was, you know, this was quite a strong episode. I had fun with it. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, and I look forward to next week's, and I'll be back next week with another review. So tell me your thoughts on this episode. Did this work for you? Didn't it work for you? I know this programme is very divisive among people, because there's a whole lot of love for the original Quantum Leap, and I do get that. I myself grew up on Quantum Leap. I remember being in school watching it in those early 90s and that sort of a thing. I think it was before that. It was late 80s, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember being in second year of secondary school, and watching it and talking about it. And it's a great show, and I love it. And you know, I know this show is something new, it's something different. There is room for both of them. There certainly is. You know, this show is never gonna live up to the nostalgic feel of that first show. It never will. The original Quantum Leap was fantastic. Here we've got a show that is trying to give us something as a continuation, and something a little bit different as well at the same time. That for me is fine. You know, I'm not going to just eject this show simply because on the basis of I love the first Quantum Leap and this isn't that. I take it on its own merits, people, and let me know down below you enjoy it, and if you don't, let me know why. But let's keep the comparisons aside, because that's very easy to get into that way of thinking. Let's broaden our minds, and you know, the show does do some good, I can say that. Anyway, this is AJ. Thank you for watching. I will be back in 1 week's time for next week's episode review, as long as it's on next week. I don't keep up to date with that sort of a thing, and I'll see you there. Take care all, and goodbye.